Hello and welcome, or welcome back. Today I'm excited to share with you my jungle house. When I was designing this house skin, I wanted to make sure that it felt very rustic. I wanted a landing ground for the explorers of the valley. I had the idea of Tarzan in there. I played with making my mannequins sort of look reminiscent of Jane and her father, the professor. And then over here, I have another explorer friend. And I really wanted to just have a mannequin of some sort with this jacket on in this space. I'll tell you a couple of the little things I did and why I did it. Over here in the kitchen, I made a custom fridge just because I wanted it to feel a little bit more rustic, and we didn't have a fridge in the game that I enjoyed the look of because I didn't want it to be bright. I wanted it to be a little bit darker. And then I really love in my kitchen areas to do these built-ins. And I also like to make sure that I clip in some items whenever I am decorating to give it that layered look. And of course, I want it to feel lived in. Over in this area, after everybody enjoys a nice rustic dinner, which we'll get to that, they are going to have these lovely desserts. So I put in the coconut cake with some tea. Over in this area over here, I just wanted it to look like a dining area that was lived in, so I tried to put in foods that had a rustic aesthetic to them as well, but not blocked off from all of the elements, which is why I tossed a couple butterflies in here because I didn't want you to think this room was perfectly and completely sealed off from the elements. I wanted it to be an outdoor-indoor space that you can open up, and in the future, maybe we'll get some windows that do look like windows that open up to the outside, and that would be very, very cool. Okay, so let me show you my storage room. It's over here in the back behind the kitchen. This is my flower storage room for Eternity Isle, and I put all of my extra flowers in here. I'll just go over into each of the corners, and then at the end of this video, I am going to go into each room and I will zoom out for you guys, but I didn't want to do it in the beginning because sometimes people just want to see the spaces without me zooming out, and I didn't want to waste anybody's time there. And then also in this space, I threw in a crafting table just because I thought it would be useful and it fit the theme of this space. And this room was, I believe it was inspired by Nora from Horrible Gaming. She did a room very, very similar to this. With all my other flower storage rooms, it's really hard to come up with new ideas for layout. And then over here in the corner, I did come back in recently and throw in a couple of new items because this room has been done for a very long time. I was having the worst optimization issue playing on the Switch with the room. The room was so blurry. I would walk into this space, you couldn't even see the floor, the carpet, everything was pixelated. The windows were pixelated, the wallpaper was pixelated, the water was just squares. It was very, very strange, and I didn't want to film something whenever the quality of it was so poor. That's honestly why I waited a long time to do filming, is because the quality of the optics of the game, it looked like lower than 720. And I didn't think that it was very attractive to show it whenever everything was just pixelated. I mean, even the flowers weren't crisp. Next, we're gonna enter this space over here on the left. This space here, I was going for a outdoor-indoor porch, like a transitional space where you can open up all of the walls, and I wanted to put in another waterfall to make it again feel like the outdoors were indoors and the house was kind of built around the jungle. I love to always put tons of appropriate foods on the table to make the spaces feel lived in, and then I like to include mannequins as well so that they make the space feel lively and a little bit more realistic. I also like that the mannequins give some proportion to the space as well, and you can truly see without just like my single avatar character in there how the space would be for realistic living. There would be someone behind the bar, and it's likely somebody would be over there talking to them. It would be really cool if there were mannequins you could put in chairs, but that's crazy and kind of weird and would probably be extra creepy. And over in this area, I just wanted to fill in the space. I toss in a little table and chairs. Over here, I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can clip these shelves on top of the windows, and I really love that because it does make it kind of look like you have shelves in front of the windows, which a lot of people do have on their porches, and it does give it more of a realistic feel as well there. That is this outdoor-indoor room. Then we'll go to the last space. I love these stairs, and I'm really excited for you to see this next space. This is the last and final space. I figured it would probably be upstairs, so I wanted the spaces to have a little bit of continuity and feel a bit realistic, where you would go upstairs in this very large building and see there would be a guest suite up there. I wanted it to feel like an all-inclusive, very large, but still comfortable and quaint space. I left it as big as the standard sizes. I think that's 10 by 10. And then I gave ourselves a little sitting suite where the explorer would probably be checking on some of their inventory and going through a bit of their paperwork before bed, and then desk over by the bed with a little stool next to it, because again, we're in a little bit of a tight squeezed in space, so you would move this stool over here, just trying to make it feel a little bit more realistic. And then we have all of our suitcases, which I do hope that in the future we get more in different color variations, because they're so appropriate for so many different designs. And then I threw a couple of flowers on the ground to make it look like this outdoor-indoor space. The elements were breaking through the cracks, kind of a thing. And then over in this little bathroom suite area, we have a nice warm soaking tub with just some more plants to make the outdoors feel indoors. And I have tons and tons of foliage and greenery to make the space feel super lush and very, very jungle-esque. And then I use this cute little rustic sink, which I think it's one of the best rustic sinks we have in the game currently for this space constraint. And then I like to put all of the lanterns on the walls to bring in the little candles and that rustic appeal as well. And I threw in a couple of beautiful bubbles to float over the water, because I did want this to feel a little bit magical and like an oasis that you would come to whenever you're on your exploring vacation. And I do want it to have that magical aesthetic to it as well. I'm gonna go into each and every space and zoom out, but let's start with this room. Here is the bedroom suite. I'm just gonna give it a nice little turn around in case anybody wants to take a screenshot and use this layout in the future. If this is not your aesthetic and you don't find this appealing, you can change any and all of the items and wallpaper, but keep the same layout, because why reinvent the wheel? Just make it better. But you can, of course, use this same layout and make any type of a design. I thought it would be pretty cute to do a video where I use the same exact layout, but I just change the design of every item to give it a different aesthetic. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it. I have a lot of houses that I've wanted to film for a very, very long time. I wasn't able to, or I just didn't feel inspired to, because the optimization of the game was such low quality. It didn't look good, and it wasn't really pretty and fun to play and decorate when it was so blurry. But now it looks great. Just give it a fast little spin around. Hopefully this is good enough for anybody looking for the layout to be inspired by it and use it just as a little bit of a blueprint. Our outdoor-indoor patio eating area. I had fun when I was designing this area because I haven't actually done a space that was going for this type of a theme. I like the way that it turned out, and I like how full and cluttered it feels, because I would expect a house like this in the jungle to have a full and cluttered feel to it. I'm just so happy that the textures are finally visually appealing again, and that the quality is back like it used to be whenever the game first came out. I love that I can actually see the lines in my floors and that the wallpaper isn't blurry. And then finally, the main space. I'm so sorry that it took so long for me to film another video. I wasn't inspired, and I didn't like the way that the spaces looked. In fact, I haven't played for about 4 weeks the actual game. I kind of just did the star path, and I haven't played any of the game. I just wasn't inspired, but now I'm super inspired because everything looks really good. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you get tons and tons of inspiration from this space, and that you go and decorate an area that you've been waiting to feel inspired by something, and you just feel inspired, you go and decorate. I would really appreciate if you let me know your favorite parts or rooms of this video. If there are any rooms that were your favorite, just let me know in the comments below. And if you do like this video, give it a thumbs up so that I know you enjoyed my rooms, and see you in my next tour. Have a great day, guys!